Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. This is From Documentation to Performance Support. I'm Christine Eltz, Customer Success Manager, and I'm based in our North American office in St. Petersburg, Florida. So thanks for joining. If you've come this far, you most likely heard some of our awesome previous presenters tell you about different facets of our ClickLearn user experience panel. There are so many places and spaces to explore, but we only have 20 minutes, so we're going to dive right into what this session is all about. So, what is performance support and how will it boost your user adoption? Here at ClickLearn, we have identified 3 pillars that with some key points to tell you about the relationship between performance support and user adoption. The first one, as you can see, it's going to help by reducing barriers, lowering that learning curve for everyone. So it'll be even plain, everyone will have a different learning style, so there'll be different ways for them to be able to utilize, whether it's the AI chat, whether it's having the live guided assistance, whether it's really looking at a PDF document or following along in a PowerPoint. That learning curve is going to be really low. It's going to increase the user confidence because they're going to be able to identify how to use the material based on what their learning style is. And it makes it easier for the users to adopt new systems and processes because they can easily identify what their own learning style is. So all of that is really geared towards your content, your end users that are going to be viewing and consuming your information. And then providing ongoing assistance. It's going to provide continuous context-specific help, meaning that when you create your project inside of ClickLearn using the ClickLearn Attain solution, you're going to be able to provide segmentation so that the information will be strictly displayed for wherever that process is that resides inside of that module or functional area that they're working in. It's going to reinforce the proper usage. In this day and age, our workforce can be all across the country, all around the globe. So you don't have Walter sitting in the corner cube anymore that you could walk over and tap on the shoulder, and Walter may have created a couple of shortcuts over the years that he would want to share with you. Providing that ongoing assistance, creating the material, it's going to be in a consistent manner, and it's going to reinforce the proper way that they need to use those guides to be able to complete their daily work processes. Finally, it encourages long-term adoption. Because the material is going to stay current when you get your releases and you're going to keep it from going static, if those processes are going to be presented in the same format, in the same place, your end users will be more inclined to go ahead and access that information. So if it gets static and it gets stale, you're going to lose your audience. Finally, giving a personalized experience to each end user. It does offer that tailored guidance. As I mentioned, you can use the segmentation so that the end user will be able to see in the moment, in real time, what's important to them in that module or functional area that they're working in. It's going to allow the end users to learn at their own pace. Some people like to take their time. They like to review the information. Maybe they want to watch the video. Maybe they want to go right to having the information help them. So you'll have your assistant to be able to enable that you can go ahead and let them learn whatever pace they want, fast or slow. It's going to create a more engaging and effective adoption process by being available right inside the application. I know I mentioned it before, maybe in a previous session, but it's going to be 24/7. So once you embed it into your application, it'll be there for those people that like to work outside the regular normal business hours, so they can access it anytime, anywhere, 24/7. So here's a little a concept of some of the performance support, and let's go ahead and maybe explore a little bit of these, a little bit of talking about each one of these spots, but they're all really good points. So let me go ahead and just make this available in full screen. Let's start at the very top. So if your as-is world is currently with static documentation, let me show you how the performance support really differs from static documentation. The basic difference between them, of course, is how you or I would use or reuse all of the documentation in a new way for users. So let's following the info wheel here, we're going to get a clearer understanding of what exactly do I need to know based on my role when I am working. And then we'll put on our ClickLearn admin hat to take a sneak peek at the new user experience panel dashboard to see how our end users are interacting with the UXP. So let's start from the top of the info wheel and move about. The notifications feature can activate knowledge sharing and encourage learning across an entire organization or specific target to a team or individual user. You need to perform system maintenance, create a notification in your UXP setting inside the project, set a start and an end date, determine where you want that notification to pop up, set it, and go. If you have created segmentation around specific functional areas, you can customize a notification to that specific group of end users only, so they can see whatever your message is. Maybe there are new materials that have been added to a UXP just for their team. Notification is the way to reach an entire audience, even if they are spread out across the country or around the globe. Now, ClickLearn Alfred activates the entire organization and even nudges some of those that are less willing or able to ask Alfred anything from lunch menu to business practices. Alfred exists inside your Teams application as an app. So we've set up step-by-step instructions to help you add him to your Teams. You can include adding the content URL to your ClickLearn UXP project. So of course you can tailor that, what sort of information should be available for which users. So even though I've stepped outside of my application, my end users are still able to engage with my materials. Now the virtual assistant. Let's get back inside my application. From the chat tab, I can pose a question, and it doesn't have to be worded exactly the same as my process. This is a pretty cool feature of AI. Ask your question, and when the response displays, if there is a process associated with the question you asked, meaning that you, the author, have created work instructions using ClickLearn and added them to the structure that has been produced and published for your end users to consume and view, the AI assistant will then display the list of steps it found from your document. It's going to provide a link at the bottom of the response, and it will also provide you with a video button if you want to watch the steps, just like a show me video. Or you can click the assist button and follow the live guided assistant as it takes you by the hand and guides you through the process, enabling people to learn in the flow of work and when they need it. Finally, the dashboard. We're back to the author admin side of ClickLearn. The new dashboard analytics will allow you to see how users are engaged with your content, the notifications, the AI chat, find your ClickLearn champions in your very own user experience panel, and implement suggestions from the end users that have left you some suggestions. Now, let's go ahead and take a look here. Hang on just a moment. Where do we want to go first? Let's go into our application. All right. This particular example is inside of an IFS application, and you can see how the chat panel or the user adoption center, the UXP, is enabled. So from a notification standpoint, this one I don't have a particular notification that's been created, but you can create it inside of your ClickLearn project. And when you do that notification, as I had mentioned earlier, you can have it display in a number of ways. You can have it be very intrusive right at the very center of your screen so that everybody, if you have a system maintenance that you need to display for everyone to know, hey, shut down, we're closing, we're going to be downtime over the weekend, you can have it placed right there. I'm down here at the human capital management. If I've created any new material for this segmented group, because they're only going to see the material that I've created specific to their module, I can have what we call an intermodal, where in this lower right-hand corner is where you're going to see that message. And if I just want to have a basic notification for everyone, maybe I do want to tell everyone to go and check their module functional area, that there's been new materials that have been added in many places, I can go ahead and create the notification so that it'll be right here on the notifications tab, and they'll see a little number or an icon that lets them know that there's something there that they need to go ahead and check to click on. Jumping out, let's see for just a moment. We're jumping back and forth, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's talk about our Click Learn Alfred. So Click Learn Alfred is something that I mentioned that you'd be able to create for your team, and you'll be able to get step-by-step guided instructions on how to do that. So here is an example. I have my workspace that I've created, and you can see that I've gone through, I'm adding the app. You can select your Click Learn Alfred. And then once you go through adding, and you're going to follow the steps for how to add your content URL, you can actually pose the questions inside your teams. You can see here, I did ask, again, how do I register for an absence, or how do I take some leave? And here's the response that Click Learn Alfred provided for me. So I'm not even in my application, but I was thinking, hey, I've got some holiday time coming up. I want to go ahead and create that time off or request. And I was able to do that right here within my Teams application. All right, so now jumping back, where do we go next? We have our virtual assistant, I believe, is where we go. So now let's jump back in. So inside of Click Learn, inside your user experience panel, your user adoption center, inside your application, in this case we're looking at IFS, I can come here and the virtual assistant is going to guide me step by step through the instructions. So I have already typed in a question, pretty much the same one that we were just looking at. I can also do it right here inside my application. In this particular example, I said, how do I register my leave? Click Learn showing me step by step how I can go about doing it. It's kind of a high level piece, but down here on the very bottom, here's where I'm going to create that absence report. And that's the neat thing about this AI technology, is that I didn't really have to make it exactly word for word. My AI chat knew what I was looking for. So here's where the virtual assistant resides. Virtual, clicking on that Assist tab. Now it's going to help guide me step by step how to create my absence report request. It's giving me a little preliminary, hey, these are the things you need to be prepared and have ready in advance, some mandatory fields. And now Click Learn it's striking through the steps, and it's also guiding me. So now as I click through the steps, here on this particular page is a little informational page, and notice down here in the block that as I hover over these certain areas, Click Learn is telling me, hey, this is what you need to do. These are the buttons on how you can navigate through this page. Continuing on, now is when I'm going to start creating my request. So when I go ahead and start selecting, and again, this is actually taken from a process that I had created using Click Learn to create that absence report process. And so it'll take me, I'll go guided step by step until I get through, I finish the process, and now I'm able to continue on with my day-to-day work. I can watch a video if I want. This one is about a minute long. I can take a look through the step by step and follow along and do it myself. The virtual assistant just really helped make that just fast and easy. So now let's jump back into the dashboard. We've touched some of the material here. Let me go ahead and just jump back in to our Click Learn Attain solution. So here is my project, what we were just looking at, what we were utilizing. Here is the dashboard for your user experience project. It's very robust. We have a variety of ways we do have the default dashboard, so for those of you that are with me today that are Click Learners from forever, you'll recall that we have some nice dashboard analytics in there, but this really is going to provide a lot deeper engagement enablement for you, KPIs and your ROIs, right? So as I'm just scrolling down, and you'll notice that I can hover over, I can look to see if there's any active users, how much content was consumed. As we get further down through the days here, this line graph, consumption trend, I'll be able to see all of that. Scrolling down just a little bit further, we still have that top consumed content. Here we also provide with the latest search terms. So if you do have people that are using the search terminology, you can go ahead and see what they were looking for. This might help you to be able to craft some updated material or some new materials. Here's also that top AI source that's being consumed. So what are we hitting on the most? What are the biggest hits? This is really also very telling. So you have a variety of different places and spaces inside this dashboard for you to be able to glean some information out as well. So I know I've been kind of talking about KPIs and ROIs, so let's go ahead and get a little bit more specific with that. Now let me jump back into my presentation. Hang on, let me just get there. Pardon me. And from here, you'll be able to get, again, be thinking about your performance support, your investment here. Almost there. All right. So your organization is going to realize some of the following outcomes. You're going to see some great training cost reductions. You're going to see IT support, hopefully cost savings. There won't be a lot of calls or emails that'll go to your support team because everyone will have clearly defined processes. It's not going to change. There shouldn't be any reason that they would have to reach out for any support help questions because all of their answers will be right there. It's going to provide some increased employee engagement levels too, because your end users are now going to see how easily it is for them to be able to access that user panel, be able to type in whatever their requests are if they don't see it from the home page or the context-sensitive area where they're working from. They're really going to engage with the material. And of course, you're going to want to keep that material current, up to date. You don't want it to go static like you typically will with a static document. So ClickLearn, the very basic core of what ClickLearn does is it can help you very easily update and maintain all of your materials so that they will be evergreen. So the performance support part, that's about the KPIs and the ROIs that are working together to give you those metrics that matter. So here's a little bit of final thoughts for, again, your performance support. What helps drive your performance support? It's going to be the key performance indicators and your return on investment metrics that you set for your organization. So KPIs and ROI can be used together to validate each other. KPIs inform your ROI. So by monitoring those KPIs through ClickLearn's dashboard analytics, you can identify which efforts, if you will, what I've placed here, which are the recordings, the assets, the virtual assistant, the search, the chat level, are driving the most valuable outcomes. And that most valuable outcome is your user acceptance of your application. And then conversely, the ROI will validate your KPIs, because seeing the return on your efforts, which is those engaged users, it justifies your investment and it helps to secure future budgets. So thank you for joining, and stick around because there's lots more great content coming your way. Thanks for joining. Bye for now.